All right, good afternoon. I know that it's me and Craig that are standing between you and your Friday evening, so we'll try to do something a little lighthearted. First, I just want to thank you guys for coming out. This is probably the sixth event I've done for Mo, London here, and the events are always really great, and it's good to see that you guys are still here and interested in what's going on. And I just want to thank Mo for having me. It's always a great event, so hopefully you guys are having fun and you've learned a lot. So today I'm going to talk about Haven. Usually I come and talk about products that we're working on, our roadmap, et cetera, but I thought maybe this time I would try to do something that would be useful to the broader audience, the developers, and not kind of bombard you with marketing stuff. But basically I want to talk a little bit about how peer-to-peer technology can actually survive in our app stores, and in this case, decentralized apps, peer-to-peer apps. So first, to get that out of the way, my name's Brian Hoffman. I'm the current CEO of OB1, hopefully the long-lasting CEO of OB1. I'm also the project lead for OpenBazaar. OpenBazaar is a decentralized peer-to-peer marketplace that runs on cryptocurrency payments. It's completely free to use, allows you to sell anything to anyone, anywhere in the world, absolutely free. My background is technology. I have a bachelor's in computer science, so I've always been a programmer, developer. I worked for over a decade with government clients, including classified agencies, working on encryption technology, even working on cryptocurrency work before I left and started OB1, which was venture-backed by Andreessen Horowitz, Union Square Ventures, and several other investors. We've been doing that since 2015. And I consider myself a Bitcoin pragmatist in comparison to a Bitcoin maximalist in that I really do find a lot of passion within the technology around what we're doing in the crypto space, and I'm not particularly obsessed with the ideology around one particular currency or not. I find a lot of what all these projects are doing is fascinating, even in negative or positive ways, and so, yeah, I consider myself that. What's Haven? The talk is about Haven, so I thought I'd talk a little bit about what it is. It's actually, it's a mobile application you can get on iOS and Android now. It's basically a way to use OpenBazaar on your mobile device. And it has a multi-coin wallet, which supports Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Zcash, and Litecoin at the moment. And we're getting very close to releasing Ethereum and stablecoin support. It has full crypto merchant capabilities, which means that as soon as you open up the app, you can create a listing without registering for an account or doing anything like that. Nothing comes to our servers. You just run it all on your device, and you can start buying and selling different objects or services for crypto. It also has an interesting social networking feature, so you can follow and build friends lists. There's a social feed where you can post what you're selling, what you're interested in. You can ask for things that you're looking for, do deals like that, which a lot of people use it for, or just for stupid content, memeing to your heart's content. But the talk, why this talk is, I think, is important. It's more important than just a product. You know, this meme right here, blockchain app is back on the App Store, and it's gone. So over the last, 5 to 6 years, there have been tons of different blockchain-related apps, wallets, mining software, social networks, all these different things, dApp browsers. And one thing that's consistent on the Google Play Store and the iOS App Store is that these apps don't really know what the real rules are for operating in those sandboxes, and they get kicked out every once in a while. It was like kind of ridiculous for a while back, but here's a couple examples of news articles over the years for people getting kicked out of the App Store. It goes everywhere from Coinbase's, a wallet to MetaMask not being allowed to be in the App Store and getting kicked out. That tweet on this slide is actually from December 26th of just last month. They're still doing this, right? I mean, it's back now, but they don't know that they're going to get removed. They don't know how it impacts them. And, it could be a small developer or a large developer or any kind of developer that gets removed for whatever arbitrary reason. And we don't really have a lot of recourse when that happens, right? Because of these silos that Google and Apple have. And so after seeing all of this and building OpenBazaar on the desktop where we are unencumbered and have no restrictions whatsoever and can do whatever we want, we did what the smart thing would be to do, which is to try and build a mobile app. So we basically spent the last over a year building Haven. We released it in August of last year. We were actually announcing it here at this conference last year. And over the last 6 months, we've got some experiences that I'd like to share a little bit about and what we've learned. So decentralization. I mean, some of these might be super obvious to you because you guys are crypto savvy and you're at a conference about Bitcoin, but some of the benefits of decentralization are resiliency. So being able to run your software and survive if your server goes down, or if somebody attacks you, or if Apple decides you need to go away, for instance. Less censorship. I say less censorship because censorship resistance is probably a questionable thing, right? The internet itself can be censored in certain ways via government, fiber lines, things like that, right? So getting true full censorship resistance is hard. Behavioral freedom, so being able to choose whether or not you are doing things that operate within the bounds of the law or outside of the bounds of the law, right? The software that's decentralized can allow people to be anonymous and do things that they shouldn't be doing or that they believe are legal but not allowed by your laws. Trustlessness, openness, meritocracy is another big one, right? It allows people in a decentralized network to stand up and to have some kind of assertion over the network or the software by being good at something or knowing more than others. There's a meritocracy. It's not just somebody, because I'm Apple, I make the decision and we're right. It's very more democratized. And in our case, it's privacy. Being able to operate without sending all of your personal data and all of your business data to some centralized server and letting them capture that, perhaps getting hacked or selling your data to others that you don't know about. Here's a snapshot of Apple's current rules for crypto apps. I just took this from the website yesterday. Some of these seem pretty clear. Mining apps. You cannot mine for cryptocurrencies unless the processing is performed off device. Well, that's basically not running it on your device, right? It's just a browser, essentially. And there's other kinds of things. And some of these make sense, right? They're trying to protect their users against ICOs, that are, not maybe legal, or they may be taking advantage of users, and different types of things, right? They're trying to protect the users. So, but what this leads to is that you try to build an app that is trying to push the envelope in terms of decentralization, using cryptocurrencies, smart contracts, whatever it is. And this is just a small snapshot of our history when we were trying to put Haven out. It's prepare for submission, rejected, in review, waiting for review. Prepare it again, rejected, rejected, rejected. It was just rejected over and over and over again. And these are four of the kind of basic categories for why our app was rejected through that initial process. One, device resource consumption, in-app purchases using crypto, unauthorized sales, and user-generated content. So what's device resource consumption? That's basically, so the way that Haven works is it runs an entire peer-to-peer server on your device. So you're not most normal mobile applications talk over an application programming interface, an API, to servers running in your data center or in the cloud somewhere, and your device just runs like a little UI so that you can talk to it. In our case, we run all of the software needed for running your storefront on your own device. And this can be, in some cases, it can be very strenuous on your device. It can use a lot of bandwidth. It can use a lot of CPU usage. It could burn your battery down, right? And who wants that? That's not a great experience. But it's a trade-off for running an entire, storefront in a decentralized fashion. This is something we have to continually optimize for, and we work with the App Store as well. They monitor that. If you go over certain thresholds, they decline your app, or they the OS can even if it gets approved, the operating system may kill your application because of the way you're using it. So it's something you have to consider. And this is something that immediately got flagged, and we had to go back and really think about how we keep the things that we run on the device very, very optimized. In-app purchases. Now this is one that we kind of went back and forth with Apple for, and we kind of trolled them a little bit because we just wanted them to to really understand like what we were trying to do. But in OpenBazaar on the desktop, you can sell physical goods, t-shirts, mugs, etc. You can offer services, web programming services, whatever you want to do, artwork. And you can also sell digital goods, so PDFs, music, videos, all that stuff, right? Well, that digital goods category conflicts with the iOS and the Google Play Store dramatically because they have their own media content stores, and they take a cut of that. And they use their in-app purchases API in order to take a cut of your process. You have to use Apple Pay or credit card through their system. So when we told them that we didn't need them for that, we could just use crypto. You could just pay in Litecoin directly to the user. They did not like that very much, and so they asked us to take the digital goods out. What we did was we basically left digital goods in the app, but when you try to purchase it, a pop-up came up and said, Apple's really bad and they don't support this, so go get the Google version. They didn't like that very much. And so that was another separate rejection. We had to remove that window. But I think the lesson learned here is that you don't step on Google or Apple's business. When you do that, you mess with the big boys, you're going to get slapped down, your app's going to get rejected. We have to figure out a way to use crypto, but in a way that also works with those App Store rules. Unauthorized items and services for sale was another really interesting challenge. So in a decentralized network where there's no registration process and we have no control over removing or editing things that are on the marketplace, you get things like this. Now, by themselves, they're not necessarily illegal, right? CBD is legal in the US, vaping is not illegal, tobacco products are not illegal, pornography in most cases, is not illegal. And these things would be offered on the marketplace. But the App Store rules strictly prohibit this. They don't want people selling vaping products that comes from, vape pens, pipes, tobacco. They don't want sales of cigarettes. You don't want minors to be able to access this data, even if you mark your app 21 plus. Pornography is another huge one. They don't believe in this, right? Like this is part of the moral issues around the way that these companies manage these app stores. And there's a legitimate marketplace for like a lot of these types of products. And so we had to build in kind of a filter between what people could see within the mobile version of our application in order to comply with those rules, which really sucks because OpenBazaar is meant to be open and up to the users to decide what they do. User-generated content is another big one. People post questionable photos or they talk about smoking weed. This guy's got a dank joint, he's blowing up over here. Is that illegal? No, but when Apple sees it in their review process, rejected, you're gone. So, you have to, or they make you bump up into a user age category that is not necessarily going to expand your audience. So what we learned through this whole thing is that you can't really beat them. You're going to have to, for the short term, learn to work with them, right? If you want to get your apps into the App Store. Doesn't mean you shouldn't try, because I think that these things are, we have to chip away at the incumbents and try to get to a better place. But as you can see here in the decentralization spectrum, OpenBazaar is way closer to fully decentralized and open and free than Haven is, which was a large driver for the branding change. We wanted to make sure that it was crystal clear, the separation of how these applications work. So the theory is decentralize not all the things, but maybe more things for the time being. Build software that's less reliant on centralization. Invest time and money and effort into projects and efforts that are trying to change things for the better, for the long term. Focus on areas that benefit from decentralization and start there. Chip away at the incumbencies. And always be aware of what your users need and build that. Don't always just build something cool. You got to look at what users are really asking for and try to build that. This quote is, I thought was really interesting. A real trick in highly reliable systems is somehow to achieve simultaneous centralization and decentralization. So I have 3 seconds left. Feel free to come say hello. There's not much conference left, but I'll probably be wandering around for a few more minutes. You can find us at these locations, and thank you very much.